Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations and welcome to my live stream today. Thank you very much for joining me. It is Sunday here at the moment. As you can see from the little thing up here, 11 a.m. 17 degrees. It's actually starting to feel a little bit like spring around here. Yesterday it was pretty warm, so happy about that. In the video today, I am going to be building a BlueSCSI version 2. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll talk about BlueSCSI itself and the various iterations, etc., etc. I will do my normal thing and I will say hello to a bunch of people who have rocked up today. Hello to Thomas Armstrong. Congratulations on being first. He's first a lot, actually. Steve from Mac84. Hello there. Colin from This Does Not Compute. Starbuck Tech. Jack68K, Nick from Apples Anonymous. What else we got? K-Mac Vintage, hello. I will speak to you in a minute, Will, about a thing. Who else? Paul Byerly, Enzo Fitzhume, Mr. Tech Gadget, Garth Beagle, Mr. Crimstar. Everyone's got to keep going. Let's go. Well, hellos. I'll just check here. Yes, now, of course, if you go up and have a look at the chat, you'll see Steve make a funny little comment about resistor nets. And he is, of course, referring to the BlueSCSI version 1, which I have one here. This was really the thing that set it all off. And what was really nifty about this one here is you basically just got a little, was a blue pill little programmer's board thingy, developer's board, and programmed it and then attach it to this very, very, look, there's just not much going on. SD card slot, couple of jumpers, some resistor nets, and SCSI connector. Oh, and a couple of diodes just to keep you safe. And, you know, this is really, really sort of simple stuff, very easy to put together. Now, of course, this had limitations, and the limitations are basically brought about by the blue pill itself. And a little later on, someone actually went and looked at modifying this code to work with an RP2040, I think it's called, the Raspberry Pi chip, is it RP2040? Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I believe that initial groundwork was done by Rabbit Hole Computing, the people responsible for the SCSI 2SD and then the Zulu SCSI. I could be completely wrong in this. This is not a proper history lesson. And then, of course, it being open source code, the guys from BlueSCSI then went and took it and ran with it and ended up making the BlueSCSI version 2. Now, of course, Garrett Taylor, hello there. So the advantage of the Raspberry Pi 2040, sort of chip, is that, well, number one, it's very powerful. Number two, it's very cheap. Now, it had one downfall, and that one downfall was that it has no storage built in. It's not an SoC, a system on a chip. So because it had no actual storage on it, it meant that they had to actually design these with additional storage. But you don't need to worry about that if you are using our little developer's board, because that's got storage built into it. But if you are building it as just a single board without the developer's board, then you'd need to actually have some storage on there as well. So just assembled a couple of V1 this week and had parts sitting around from right before version 2 was released. Yeah, look, I've still got a bunch of version 1 bits. And look, at the end of the day, there's no reason to not use these. I mean, they're not as fast as a Raspberry Pi 2, sure, accept that. But you can. I mean, what are your plans? I mean, are you trying to create the world's fastest, I don't know, Mac SE or something? You plonk something like this in an old 680, 6800 or a 680 30 or something like that, you're not going to tell the difference between this and a Raspberry Pi 2, really. So, if it's all about the simplicity of building this, then that's great. What I love about the Raspberry Pi 2 is the fact that if you put on the developer's board with Wi-Fi capability, you can then set this up to emulate a SCSI Ethernet. And it does it wirelessly. And so what that means is you can effectively make your vintage Mac a wireless Mac. Now, I covered this in a video I did on my world's slowest power PC, which you'll find in my featured videos. It was a video that I really threw together fast, and the fact that it was very popular was great, except that I might have spent more time on it had I known. So yeah, that's the huge advantage of this. This then gives you Wi-Fi capability for your vintage Mac. So you take a computer that was invented, I don't know, 10 years before Wi-Fi was even available, and make it a Wi-Fi Mac. So it's absolutely fantastic. Now, Will, I just wanted to show you something here. You may have already seen this without me, I'm not sure, but I will show you, and I will, of course, show the rest of the world as well. Well, those people that are watching anyway, that part of the world. Right. Okay, so I'm just going to change here to the screen view for a moment. There we go. This is my website called recapamac.com.au. It's originally started as a website with one sole purpose, and the sole purpose was to make... Oh, hello, Ron. Thank you very much. BlueSCSI made it possible for me to get all my machines back up and running. So easy to use. Oh, it is indeed. There is. I mean, this is actually one of the really wonderful things about the RP Raspberry Pi 2040, 2400, whatever it is, 2400, the chip that's on it. You know, when you have those little development boards, when you want to program them, you basically just plug them into your computer. 2040, there we go, I was right. You plug them into your computer, they come up as a drive, you drop some firmware in, and away it goes. They're just so simple to set up. Gone are the days where you had, like with these guys, Raspberry Pi 1, where you had to go in and have a little program. I do apologise for the frog in my throat. I got COVID a few weeks ago, and it's the impact to my respiratory system is lingering. It is really hanging around, so it's a bit of a bugger when I'm trying to do videos and I'm doing voiceovers, and my voice starts to run out. Okay, so anyhow, on here we've got this website I originally set up to have nice high-resolution images of logic boards. And then, of course, I decided to start doing the capacitors for which ones needed to be replaced and all that sort of stuff. I've still got quite a few gaps in here, I accept that. But what this comes down to is the boards that I end up getting in front of me. I photograph these. When I photograph these, I set them up on a table with big lights, proper lights, and I use like a Canon 7D camera, and I take good quality pics, where you can really see things nice and clearly. As far as I'm concerned, if you can't read the little letters on the chips, then my image is a fail. I am going to go here to one of my favorite Macintoshes, the Macintosh 2CI. And first of all, I have updated the recapping guide for this, make it a little bit prettier with the color graphics and all that sort of stuff. So that's, I've just been slowly doing that with each of them. But down the bottom, let me just change to, I got to do this, and okay. Down the bottom here, we have, Aussies call it Rona. This is true. Get the Rona. Address and data line matrix for the Macintosh 2CI. For those who might have a 2CI with some capacitor or battery-assisted trace corrosion, here is a link to a Google Sheets document with all the locations to test the address and data lines for continuity. All care taken, but no guarantees that it's 100% error-free. So if we click on that, we should then get taken to a Google Docs, Macintosh 2CI address data line matrix. And you've got the address lines on the left here, and then across the right you have all of the chips or sockets where these address lines go to on a 2CI board. And sorry, there are rather a lot. And then if we scroll down here, we then have the data lines. And the data lines, I probably should have done it in a separate sheet, but I did it on the one sheet, so, deal with it. And then all the data lines there. So if you've got that issue and you need to go in and check address and data lines, you can then just go in. In particular, it's very handy to check these from the ROM sim because it's nice and easy to access, and you can just move your way across the ROM sim and then just test it against the actual pins of the ROM itself, and then all of these other things, make sure it's getting to CPU. Now, I mean, with these, you don't necessarily need to check every single location. But if it is physically a fair distance on the board, not a bad idea to check it, because it might mean it's going through a via along a middle layer and then back up again. So anyhow, I just mentioned that because I've had a couple of people asking for this one. And it is now available for people to use. I think I've made it so that you can't edit it, but you can leave comments. So if you find a mistake or something like that, just put it in a comment on there, and I'll look at fixing it. So, yeah, I did make 3 corrections and emailed it back to you to verify. I have done the address lines now to do the data lines. Okay, thank you very much for doing that, Will. So, I started this using the Bowmark schematic, and then I finished it using the Apple schematic because that came into my possession, the genuine Apple one. So I probably need to go in and check a little bit more. Okay, so that is that. So I just wanted to make mention of that one there. I also want to just quickly show you this. I was working on this in my last video. Just going to zoom out a bit. And then focus. There we go. So this is the SE30 reloaded board that I'm working on at the moment. I've made, quite a bit of progress. I've put quite a lot of sockets on here already for the chips to go in. I have, wherever it is, it's here somewhere. Here it is. I have removed the actual CPU from the donor board. It's a bit scungy because, the donor board's scungy. But that's there. But I am not yet going to solder this on. So he's going to sit there. He would sit there and be soldered on there. I'm not going to solder it on yet. The first thing I'm going to do is test this CPU in a socketed SE30. So one of the older revisions that had a socketed SE30. Sorry, a socketed 68030. I am going to take that chip out. I'm going to plonk this in, see that it works, because I do not want to solder all these little bloody pins only to find out that this chip is cactus. So, there we go. Just making mention of that. Now, as usual, what is taking pride of place on my desk here? Styri ASM Tacky Flux. It's looking a bit grubby now, isn't it? Oh, whoa, look at that. Sorry. Shall we say hello to the chickens? Okay. Chokam. There is a chicken down the bottom there. And there's one off in the top, 2 off in the top right-hand corner. And, of course, a pigeon. So let's just go back here to the top view. Dana is here. Hello there, Dana. I hope everything went well with your travels today. Sounds like you had a fun day. No. Did I say scudgy? No, it's what did I say? Scungy. Scungy. SCUNGEY. It's a very, very common word used here in Australia, I can tell you that. Charlie, hello there. Can you still buy the CPU sockets? I was wondering that thing myself, and I don't know. If you can, I would probably grab one, but I honestly do not know. I honestly don't know. Because they changed over to a QFP, with the pins coming out the outside, which I have a few of those here. So we've got these. The joke about this is that I bought some of these chips, and it came in this little tray, and then the tray fell on the ground and it bent all the freaking pins. So if I do need these, I have to bend all the pins first, which I wouldn't be looking forward to. Now this one here, I'm not sure about that one. I think that might have been a copy chip, not a genuine thing. But I've got a 33. Oh, they're both 33s. So these are the ones you want. But anyhow, they changed over to that package, and so sockets might be getting a little bit hard to find. Has anyone developed a Pogo pin test setup to test addresses and data lines? I'm guessing there's not enough demand to make it practical. That'd be quite a job, Paul. It would definitely be quite a job. Right, yes you can. I have loads of them. There you go. Will's got loads of them. Where do you buy them from, Will? Riddle me that. Right, I'm going to put all these things away that I got out before so they don't get lost or damaged, or both. And then I'm going to start doing some work. Because why not? get myself... There we go. That's all good. So all my surplus sockets, they need to be put into a container. I've just got to work out where is the best place for them to go. This is my hot air station. There are many like it, but this one is mine. There we go. Right. Okay. I got them from Boca Semiconductors in Boca Raton. Is that how you say it? Boca Raton? Florida. They have eBay store and many hard-to-find items. Interesting. Great work on the TCI address lines. Thank you. Just catching up via fast forward. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, right. So I've got to grab a little thing here, and of course I've set this up. This is now the hardest container for me to access, but this is the one that I need. Yeah. But we've got to get moving, otherwise we'll never get this done, because there's quite a bit of work in getting these done. It looks a little blue, doesn't it? Don't you? It does. Oh, look at that white balance. Show us your white balance. Yeah. There we go. We'll be doing most of this stuff with the microscope, so I'm not too fussed about this top view. Right, so I need to talk about this for a little bit. I will try and be quick because everyone's probably sick of hearing my voice. This is the BlueSCSI version 2 2023.09a. Now, this is, in my opinion, the absolute peak pinnacle of BlueSCSI design. I love this design. But okay, Pen Connectors sells the sockets too. All these, I wonder if these places will actually ship to Australia, because a lot of places don't. Yeah, I can always check. I will check. The problem with this board is it is a 4-layer board, so it costs more to make, and that in itself caused a little bit of an issue. So they went back and redesigned it as a 2-layer board. 2-layer board? Yeah, pretty sure, just as a 2-layer board. But in doing so, they then took a few things away. And this is one of the reasons why I like this one so much. Yes, it does cost more to get this board made up because it's 4-layer. But I, get this lot I got made up. I got 10 of them. Actually, I think they sent me 11. And then when I need one, I just build one. I just build one as I go. I have not got any of the bird seed on this. None of the resistors, nothing. None of the surface mount components are on this. This is just a blank board. That's all I paid for. And then I bought all the components separately. Because I like building these things. I mean, it's crazy for me to pay for someone to do it when I like doing it myself. And we've got all the instructions and everything. And I've built multiple of these. I think I've built at least 4. And so, yeah, when I need one, I've got a computer that needs a hard drive. So, okay, I'll build a BlueSCSI. And I come down here and I will often do this in the evening with a glass of wine or 6 and just build it here, listen to some tunes, put some music on or put a TV show on or something on the screen there, and then I just sit here and I build them while I sip wines. It's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's a lovely pastime. Now, I'll talk about a couple of differences between this and the later revision. So if you were actually to go on to the BlueSCSI website now and download the Gerber files for getting this made up yourself, and I encourage you to do that because, it gives you a lot of freedom when you go in and build these yourself. You're going to find a few things missing. First of all, it's not going to have this choice of SD card slots. So you can see we've got a large SD card slot there, and we've got a small one here. You're only going to have, I think it's the large one. I think the small one was taken away as an option. And I actually like the small one because I just buy the small SD cards. So you're not going to have that choice on the latest revision. Then Houtine, your ears are backwards. Hello there. Hello from the other side of the world, Barcelona. Hello there. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay. This is my rifle. This is my gun. Came to mind when you mentioned this is my hot air. That's because that was what I was referencing. Okay. And so yeah, you only have one choice for SD card slot. The other thing that is missing is this USB-C connector. So let's just grab it now. Let's grab one of these little Raspberry Pi boards. This is one of these little development boards with these RPi 2040 chips on it. great little thing, these development boards. I mean, seriously, when you consider the amount of computing power that is in this tiny little package, what you can do with these, you know, they're just absolutely fantastic. So it's a Raspberry Pi Pico W. W stands for Wi-Fi. There's your Wi-Fi there. And, you know, I mean, if you're sort of good with programming and stuff, you can get these things to just do so much. Anyhow, this one has a little micro USB slot on it, just right there. If you mount this onto here, you can then stick a USB-C slot there and use the USB-C instead of that USB there, which I quite like. I like having that option of that on the back there. So if you're going to mount this in something with that facing out, you've got your USB slot and your SD card slots facing out as well. And they've also got this little quick thing here, which is designed for fanciness, but I haven't investigated any of that. Eric's told me about some of the things you can do with it, but I just haven't investigated any of that. So, anyhow, the other really important difference, this is a very important difference between this version and the later version, is they moved the mounting holes. And I've given them a great deal of grief about that, so I'm not going to do that anymore because I don't think that's productive. But as far as I'm concerned, when you design a product like this, your mounting holes should always stay. Always stay. Because what that means is that when people are contributing and building brackets, they're modeling brackets in 3D and they're making them publicly available, it means that those brackets will continue to work. And I can give you an example of that, and that is SCSI 2SD. The mounting holes for the SCSI 2SD have not changed from, I think, version 3 onwards. They have had exactly the same location of mounting holes, even right up to the, even up to Zulu SCSI. So that, as I say, it's not productive for me to go on about that, but that is another thing, that any bracket that I make for this is not going to work with the later version of BlueSCSI because they moved 1 or 2 of these holes. Thank you for giving them grief about moving the mounting holes. I love BlueSCSI, but moving them there. So when I said this to them, and I was, you know, a little bit grumpy about it, they did assure me that they would never be moved again, that the location they are in now is absolutely permanent forever. So that's a good thing. I hope that they maintain that promise. But so anyhow, that's it. Now, here's the tricky thing with this. If you want to get this little USB socket translating to this USB socket, you actually need to solder together these little 3 pads here to these little 3 pads here. And that's no trivial task, I can tell you. Does the BlueSCSI mount to the back of the SE30? You know what, Paul? It will mount anywhere as long as it has an appropriate bracket. And I think someone has made a bracket for this and the SE30. Place to check would be somewhere like Thingiverse. Just search for BlueSCSI. There are quite a lot there. I think even on the BlueSCSI website there might be a link to all of the BlueSCSI related models that are out there. And essentially it's just, you know, you have it set up with a bracket that has this part hanging out the back. Now that these things work Wi-Fi, I virtually never, once they're in a computer, I virtually never need to take them out again. The only times I need to remove the SD card is if I'm transferring large amounts of data to it, and I'll just do that by just sticking in, fire up an emulator. I've got a video on that as well. There's a video that I've got called, it's making a bootable System 7 disk image for BlueSCSI, something along those lines. It's in my feature videos. It's not that old. And in that, I do then go and explain how you can set up an emulator on a Mac and take the SD card out of this, plonk it into the emulator and copy large amounts of files to it. It's nice and convenient. Okay, I think Mac sold SE30 with a rear-mounted SD slot with bracket. Yep, cool. That would make sense. So, and I'll just make mention of the Mac Plus while we're here. I might even have a Mac Plus board here. Is that a Plus or is that an SE? Let me just grab it. It's missing bits, whatever it is. This is a plus, I think. No, this is an SE. No, it's a plus. No, it's an SE. I'm getting confused now. Yeah, it's an SE. Yeah, it's an SE. It's an SE. It's an SE. So I'm just checking to see if I have a plus. But anyhow, just have to remember with the Mac Plus was not built with SCSI powered SCSI termination power. It was not built with termination power. And so if you want to power a BlueSCSI from termination power, you will need to add a diode to the board. There's a spot for it. You just got to stick a diode on there. I don't have a plus board, but I have done it to my plus because why not? SE has internal SCSI. It does indeed, and that is the big difference between the Plus and the SE. And it's one of the reasons why when people say to me, "Oh, I'm wanting to get into vintage Mac and I want to get a compact Mac," it's very tempting to go with a 128K or a 512K or a Plus. I love the Plus. Don't get me wrong. I love all of those Macs. Go with a Plus or newer because they have SCSI, whereas the older ones don't, and you'll need to get yourself a big mess of wires. What do you call those things? Floppy MU, and they're quite pricey. So if you go with a Plus or newer, you have SCSI, but SE is the way to go. SEs don't get a classic because they have so many problems. In terms of leaky electrolytic capacitors and stuff like that and stuff breaking on them. So, look, I don't know. If you get a restored classic, that's great. But if you're looking to get into the hobby, try and find an SE. They are just so bloody reliable. White barn. No, there's no such thing as a white barn in America. They're all red. I've seen that. I know that all barns in America are red. I've seen photos. Did everyone watch the breaking on the Olympics? Australia's champion breakdancer. Right, let's start on this. I'm just prattling on. I'm just listening to the sound of my own bloody voice. What's going on? Let's change across here to a scope view, and we'll move this down a bit because we're up a bit high, and we'll get some focus. A bit further down. There we go. There we go. There we go. So this is the bit I was talking about. Isn't she not that far from you? Probably. I haven't actually even looked to see where she's from, but I think she's a Sydney person. I have a lot to say about that actually, but we'll maybe talk about that later on. Right. So we've got to make these little pads here soldered to these little pads here. And I have done this several times, and it's worked each time, so I'm going to just do the same thing. First thing I'm going to do is get some solder onto these pads on the Raspberry Pi board. So I'm putting a bit of flux there, which is way more than I needed. Where's my thing? Who stole it? Own up. Where's my thing? I've lost my little thing that I clean my soldering iron tip with. It usually sits here, and it must have fallen out. Who knows where it's gone? Jiminy cricket. I mean, it's got to be on the floor. It must have bounced down and gone for a roll somewhere, but, I mean... Ah, here it is. And it's spilled everywhere. There's like a couple of years' worth of little solder bits. So this is the thing I'm talking about here. I'll show you with a different camera view. This thing here. This is what I use to clean my soldering iron tip. And it must have got knocked down and fell on the floor. Showing the natural wood. Ah. Shed and a barn are all the same. That's what I said before. A barn is just a big shed, but in the country. Right. Okie dokie. So let's do this again. I can actually solder now because I've got my little cleany thing. All right, so I've put on my flux. I'm going to put a little bit of solder on here, and I do mean a little bit because these things are going to be flush with each other. They're going to be right next to each other. So we only need enough solder to just bridge between the two pads facing each other. So, oh, I haven't got my fume extraction on, have I? Even that's probably too much, but it'll do. Fume extractor. It's a good day for fume extraction. I'm going to put a little bit of flux on there. More than I need. I'm going to lay this on the spot. Now, it's pretty easy to make these things line up because you can see we've got all these holes here. We just need to make all of these line up, and then we know the pads will be lining up. So what I'm going to do is start probably here. And I'm going to put some solder on here. God, I got that just about freaking perfect. How about that? It's bloody perfect. Okay. You can put pin headers in to line them up. Don't need it. Don't need it. Right, so I've just soldered these two on the end. I'm not going to solder any more. They're just to hold it in position. Then I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to apply hot air to the underside of this until I start seeing bubbling and solder and things happening and stuff. So we'll probably eventually see maybe a couple of little beads of solder come through these holes. But we've got to get the heat all the way through. Would that be a Greg Rutke there? It is a Greg Rutke there. Hello, Greg. How you doing? In case anyone is not aware, Greg has been busy installing 21 operating systems on a 2007 Mac Mini. I mean iMac, sorry, not Mac Mini. iMac. 2007 iMac. Because that's what you do. I've got to stop pushing down so hard. I'm actually exposing the, what do you call it? The copper underneath the mask. There we go. See a little bead of solder there? Just there? On the right hand hole there? So we know that solder's melting. So I can probably just ease up on the heat now. But we will want to get rid of that little solder ball. Okay. Just going to do that. Have you tried upgrading the storage on an M2 Mac Mini? No. I've only got one M2 Mac Mini, and that is my daily driver. and I'm certainly not going to risk taking that offline by potentially stuffing up. And I've watched, what's his name do it, Colin Mister, and it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Shall we just say that? I'll leave stuff like that to him. Just going to cool this down. It's a bit warm. Biggest video you've had in a year? Ay caramba. How about that? Who would have thunk it? By the way, OBS has had an upgrade and I really like it. You can actually see the audio meter now in stereo, rather than just a little mono one. Not that it matters with this microphone because it's mono, but never mind. Okay. This doesn't need to be completely cold, but it just needs to be cold enough for me to hold it because it was frickin' hot. Oopsie. Just going to go here to M2 rules. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Well, I mean, look, I bought I did something very stupid when I bought my M2. So I've got the M2 Pro, M2 Pro, I think. I bought the highest spec M2 that you could buy at the time. It was actually higher spec than the Studio that was available at the time. Well, faster, I should say. I decided to go with the Mini. It was a reasonable enough price difference here in Australian dollars to not go with the Studio and go with the Mini instead. So I got the highest spec one, and I've got it with the most RAM that you could get. I've got it with the most CPU cores and the most GPU cores. The only thing I didn't add was the super fast Ethernet, and I regret that now, because if I'd have got that, it would have been the absolute pinnacle. And I think it's got 2 terabytes of storage built in. I'm pretty sure it's 2 terabytes of storage built in. So, been very, very happy with it. I have to say, I moved from a Mac Pro 2012. 5,1. I moved from that to this, and so the Mac Pro that I had is a dual hex core, so 12 core, 3 gigahertz, and it had 128 gigs of RAM, something like that. And it it's a real workhorse. I'm still using it now. It's running Plex server and it's running my security system and all that. But the M2 is significantly faster than the Mac Pro in just day-to-day activities. Significantly. Hello, Mega. You are a Linux user. Yeah, I mean, look, you know what? If Mac OS didn't exist, I'd be using Linux as well. And actually, I should actually mention that I have Linux installed all over the place here. I've got 2 web servers here that are running Ubuntu, and then of course I've got another one which is on Amazon Web Services, and that's running Ubuntu as well. Recently installed Linux Mint on my newest PC to try and wean myself from Windows and their constant desire to sell garbage. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, there are a lot of things that I like about Linux, but there are a few things that just keep me in the Mac OS world. So, a few features that it has that I just love. Do your ultrasonic cleaners run Linux too? Of course they do. All right, let's solder some things. So this is the boring part. Just got to do lots and lots of solderage of here. At the end of the day, I'm using way more solder than you need for these. I mean, they only need to be making contact. And you could do that with just a little bit of solder underneath, but I like the look of them when there's a little bit of a mound on top. Call me crazy. Just don't call me late for dinner. Hi. Can I tell you one of the Mac OS features that I use the most that I would just miss? I mean, if they took it away, it would be, for me, a reason to actually leave the operating system. And that is Quick Look. For anyone who uses a Mac, probably know what Quick Look is, unless they don't know what it's called. And that is that when you have a computer on your desktop, when you have a file on your desktop, you can select it and then just press the space bar, and it will show you a little preview of the file. Not every single file in existence, but a lot of files. You can preview Excel files, you can preview Word documents, you can preview JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, you can preview STL files, your 3D modeling STL files. There's a very big range, or you can preview PDFs. And that, for me, is one of the most used features in that operating system when I need to, if I've got a file and I just want to check and see what it looks like without having to open it up into a document. And that is, when I use Windows and I go to press the space bar to get a preview of a file and it doesn't come up, it's like, yeah. Don't own any Macs, but your content is highly interesting to me. What with the common bleed over of stuff into the retro PC world. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Because I should mention that while I am definitely a vintage Mac collector and enthusiast, I am also a vintage computer enthusiast. It doesn't just have to be Macs for it to interest me. They're the main things that I have collected, and that's because they're probably the most what's the word? I have a personal association, I guess. But if we look at something like the 1980s micros, I'm really into those. Things like Commodore 64, sort of Amiga, Atari, what else have we got in there? Tandy. Lots and lots of different. I really love that era of vintage, of computing. I love stuff from the dawn of the personal computer industry. So I love things like the original IBM computer. I love like some of the early compacts. I love the Osbornes. I love the computers that had the screen built in with the keyboard that clips off the front. Those great big luggable computers. I love Commodore PETs. So lots and lots of vintage computers that I really, really like. And I do have more than just Macs in my collection. That is excellent. Nautilus opens preview window with the content. That is excellent. I'd really like to get one of is the Dick Smith's VZ200 made by VTech. Well, Jeremy, I can tell you that I have a VZ200 and a VZ300 and the RAM upgrade. They unfortunately are getting pretty pricey these days. Used to be able to pick up VZ200s and VZ300s for pretty cheap, but they are getting quite expensive now as they, they're a bit more rare. They were, it was essentially the Laser 200. And what was really bizarre about the VZ200 was it was a color computer, but it was only ever designed, it was originally designed as a black and white computer. And then they patched color onto it. Literally, when you open up the VZ200 and look inside, there's this little patch of where they added color to the computer. Hang on. Got to read this. The message just come in. Okay, all good. Everything's fine. All right, so I've got to keep working on this. And I am going to just jump across here to a different camera view for a second and show you what I have here. Show you my thing. I'm going to show you my thing. So I've got this container. I know you can't see the whole thing because I'm zoomed in. But I've got this container. Maybe if I go side view. How about that? Yeah. There you can see a bit more of the container there. And what I have done is I bought all these components and then I put them into little sections in this. So if we open this up, we've got all the little bits here. And then when I'm building this, I essentially work my way across from left to right, just putting the components on one at a time. The order that these are in, I don't know. Now, I've got a few little that I've pointed out here. No label. So there are a couple of these components that don't have a label on the board. There's a whole stack of them that don't have labels on the board, actually, but you can figure it out based on what's left over. So let's start off with 8 4.7 microfarad. 8 4.7 microfarad. I don't know what voltage they are, but it doesn't matter. Probably, 50, I'd say. Probably 50 volts. And C6, C7, C10, C12, C15, C16, 21, and 23. So let's pull these all out now. And let's get 8 of them. Oh, what did Mr. Lurch do with one? I never saw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I grew up with a VZ200, by the way. It was my very first computer. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So yeah, the very, very first computer I ever got was a VZ200. I learned computing on that. I learned basic programming. So yeah, I wanted something probably more powerful, but you know, computers were expensive, and I was a kid, and you know, I said to my parents, I want a computer, and they're kind of like, you know, oh, yeah, how long is this going to last? You know, we'll spend all this money on a computer, and you use it for a week, and then you're not going to use it again. Well, that's not what happened. Jay from the House of Moth is here. I haven't seen you at one of my live streams in ages, Jay. What's going on? Is it personal? Have I offended thee? Alright, so we're going 6, 7, 10, 12. This is the worst part of this, is finding all the bloody pads on the board. Oh, let's change the view here. So, C12. This is one of the ones we want. I put a bit of solder on that. Got to hunt them down. Six, 7, 10, 12, 15, 16. So 15 and 16, there's a 15. $16, 21, 23. 21. Do-do-do. Just keep looking, keep looking. Here we go, 6. That was one of the ones, wasn't it? Yep, 6. Not cleaning a puck mouse. No worse crime than that. A bit early for rum for me, I'm afraid. Oh, I would love to get a micro B as well, Jeremy. My school had micro Bs, so they have a real nostalgic feel for me, and I would love to get a micro B, but they have become even more bloody expensive than the VZs. 23. 6, 7. There's a 10. Got a 10. And We need a 12. Looking for 12. Sing out if you see C12. I mean, you don't, because there's no way I'd see it in time. C20? Is that one? No? 21, 23? Do-do-do. No, no. It's got to be here somewhere. Oh, I've already done C12. 10, 12, 15, 16, 21, 23. Uh, 15. It's tedious, this, isn't it? 23. 6. I feel like I haven't done 21, but maybe I have. I'm just going to hunt for 21, okay? I may have done them all. 20, 10, 17. I've done 21. All right, let's assume I've done them all. Is anyone converting 3D printers into pick and place machines? I know people are, but I'm not. Okay, 8. I'm just going to check and make sure that I've put 8 down here. If I haven't got 8, I'm missing one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I am missing one. So let's just check this again. We've got 6. Got 7. 10 and 12. I think maybe 10 I don't have. Oh no, there's 10. And there's... 12. 15, 16, 21, 23. 15. So I think if there is one missing, it's 16. So if I can't find 16, that's the one I need to do. Oh, there it is. 16's just there. Sorry about that, folks. What is my nail dirty? I've been doing dirty tasks. 2112ist. Hey, Sol, how's it going? Oh, we got Rudy's here. Hello there, Rudy. And 64-bit guy. Hello there. And Gibbertronics. Hello there. Hello to all for joining. I'm in the process of building a BlueSCSI here, and I'm doing it the hard way because I like it. I'm just going to add some flux onto these little freshly tinned pads, and then I'm going to start sticking components on. Now for this, I use the hot air station, but I have the air turned down some, because if it's too blowy, you just blow the components off the board. So let's grab one of these. We get this nice and hot. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Nice thing about these boards is they're small, very easy to move around. They're not so small that the board just bumps when you try and do anything with it, but they're small enough that you don't need much space on your desk, and easy to manage, and everything's fine. It's good that way. No, 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 no stencils. Don't use stencils. Don't like stencils. Don't use stencils. No, no, no. No fun in stencils. Boring, boring, boring. We've got 2 left. Where's the last one? Ah, there it is. Right here. Okay, there we go. First component down. It was the Thunderbirds theme song that I was singing. Bum 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 bum. Righty. So this one is, there's only 2 of these ones, C3 and C4. So let's just grab 2 of these. When I buy these components for the BlueSCSI, these little birdseedy type things, like the capacitors and resistors, often end up buying way more than you need, because there's really decent, well, they're very, very cheap for starters, but there's also pretty decent price breaks when you go over a certain amount. So you might need 20, but you find if you go 50, you get a really good price on them. So with these, a lot of them I bought a lot more than I needed. More expensive components I only bought what I needed, but it just means that later on I can go in and build some more and not have to buy all the components again. So C3, C4. Yes, I enjoyed Team America. I love Matt and Trey. I really like them. I mean, I feel like they're probably flogging a dead horse with South Park. I feel like that show has probably done its dash, but I guess if people are still watching it, C3. This is a big fat one. C4. C4. Look out. It's about to explode. I'm doing stuff right now in InDesign. Oh, are you doing your little job that you do from time to time, eh, Dana? Are you ready to change over to Affinity? Yet? The jobby. I did actually watch Knight Rider as well. I should mention that. I should definitely preface that. Though I wouldn't necessarily consider that I watched every single Knight Rider that it was ever aired. I definitely did watch it. Okay, we have got 13 of these little sockers. I don't even know if I've got 13 on this strip. I'll probably need to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't, so I've got to use all these and then get another 3. I remember watching the pilot of Knight Rider. There we go. Okay. 13. Bad luck. Oh, Rudy's Retro Into. Yes, thank you, Colin, for saying that. So, I'll give you a very quick little background here. So, it is basically page layout software. It's publishing sort of software. In the very early days of desktop publishing, of which I was a part of, there were two main competitors in the arena of desktop publishing. There was the third one as well, but we won't talk about that one. There was Aldus PageMaker, and there was Quark Express. Now, during those early days, Quark Express was definitely the winner. It was the most popular software, and rightfully so. It did a lot. PageMaker was quite good for books. It had some good stuff that you could do with books, but for magazine layout and everything, Quark Express was definitely a superior software. That's what we used, Quark Express, and so that's where you'd set up your... I mean, it's essentially like a word processor on steroids. You know, you can do column layouts and put in images, and you can... I mean, the stuff that you can do in professional page layout, in terms of control over text, I mean, you can do things like not only adjust spaces between letters, but you can adjust spaces only to the spaces. So if you decide, oh, I don't want to spread my letters apart anymore, but I do want more gaps in between words, you can do stuff like that. You know, you've got real control over sort of text and layout, stuff like that. And so you basically had Quark Express and you had Aldus PageMaker. Now, in the meantime, Adobe, who basically had Photoshop and Illustrator, they had... So when you talk about desktop publishing, what we were doing at the time, you had your holy trinity. You had Illustrator, which is your vector illustration package. You had Photoshop, which is your image editing and adjusting, and you had Quark Express, which is your page layout. Now, Adobe wanted to get in on the action, so they started building their own product. They started building this product called InDesign. In the meantime, Adobe also bought Aldus. They bought them, and so they, for a while, it became Adobe PageMaker. But in the meantime, they were building a whole new package in the background. So they kept supporting PageMaker for a while, and then eventually they released InDesign version 1. And it was pretty bad to start off with. I mean, it had potential, it had promise. There were some things that it did that Quark didn't do, and you're thinking, oh, you know, when they get this right, this could be really good. But, of course, a lot of people were already using Quark Express. They had a lot of files in Quark Express, real pain to change over. So it's very hard for someone to break into the market with a new product. Eventually, InDesign started getting better and better and better. But here's the trick. Here's what they did, which completely changed things. Quark Express being the absolute dominant power in desktop publishing and page layout, Quark Express was still quite expensive to buy. Over here it was, I don't know, a couple of $1,000, something like that. It was a very expensive application. And of course there was regular upgrades, and the upgrades were very expensive as well. What Adobe did, Adobe already had Illustrator, already had Photoshop. Everyone had to buy those anyway, because that's what they used. They used the holy trinity, Illustrator, Photoshop, and Quark Express. Adobe made the package available where you could buy Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign for the price of two of them, effectively. So you were kind of getting InDesign for free. Whether you used it or not didn't matter. You were getting the thing. And what ended up happening is people who were owning design studios and stuff, they had the suite, so they had InDesign. They have InDesign there. Staff are still using Quark Express. And Quark Express comes out with an upgrade and it's like $1,000. And people start going, $1,000. And I've got this InDesign here. I have it here. I've paid for it. It works. Quark Express wants $1,000 for an upgrade. And yes, and look, Steve makes a very good point there. Quark was Quark was slow to transition to virtually any change. Always have been. So anyhow, once InDesign had been refined and improved, it became a very, very real alternative, and studios had it already. And so all of a sudden, people stopped upgrading Quark and they just moved across to InDesign. I'm someone who did that myself. I was very much a Quark person, knew how to use Quark, all that sort of stuff. When I started my own business, and so I had to buy all my own software for my own business, I had the Adobe suite, which had InDesign. Why am I going to go and pay for Quark Express as well? So I taught myself InDesign, and that's probably what I'm going to do with Affinity software as well, because I'm basically paying about just under $90 per month, 90 Australian dollars per month for the Adobe suite, and that's a lot of money. Okay, sorry, yeah, so that was all Rudy's fault. I used to use Adobe Acrobat for PDFs, but even that got too cumbersome. Oh, mate, Acrobat is a piece of garbage. I mean, you know, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of one thing that I hate about Acrobat. I have set up in my settings, my general settings for the Mac, I have it set up so that my scroll bars are always visible. You have the option to set them up so that they're only visible when it's scrolling, or if your cursor's there, or you can have them always visible. I like scroll bars to always be visible. Acrobat ignores that setting that I have on the Mac. It always hides the scroll bars. So, and that to me is like just a massive failure that it doesn't honour the settings that I have for my Mac. And it's just bloated and yucky. Yeah, let me get back to it. Sorry, folks. All right, so this is the 13. So this is 1, 2, 5, 8, 9. Okay, so 9's not labelled, 14's not labelled. Let's just start with 1, 2, 5, and 8, shall we? Yes, let's shall. C1. Right there. Joe, hello there, Joe. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, 1, 2, 5, and 8. 1, 2, 5, and 8. Well, there's 8. It's nice when the numbers actually follow some sort of system, but they don't here really with this. They might have at one stage, but they're all over the place now. 1, 2. Need a 5 now. Someone bring me a 5. There we go. 5. 1, 2, 5, and 8. And then the next row. 11, 13, 17. 11, 13, 17. Oh, there's a 17. There's an 11. There's a 13. Now, I'm pretty sure that this one and this one are also this size component, but there's no label. And so we've got that one and that one. And they will be 9 and 14. So 11, 13, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. They're probably down here. There's a 22. $19. I know it's here. I know it's here. $18, $19, $20, $22. So it's 22 I'm looking for, isn't it? No. We did 22, didn't we? Yeah. 18, 19, 18, 19. So it's 8. Is 18 the only one I'm looking for now? Is that right? Oh no, here we are. 18, found it. Okay. I'm in VC, hanging with Ron and Sloopy, you know, since I already know how to make these things. Yep, fair enough, fair enough. This isn't really designed as a how-to. This is really me just making it and thinking, you know what, I'm going to live stream it while I'm at it. Because to be honest, this isn't even the latest revision, because I prefer this revision of BlueSCSI. This is the 09, 2023-09. I really like this one. It's probably going to be the one that I make forevermore. Francois, do you have anything useful planned for tomorrow? Because, I mean, come on. Sleep or BlueSCSI? Come on. Commodore Super PET should be as easy as it's all through hole. I hate through hole soldering. It's one of my least favourite things. But I tell you what, I do love the old Commodore PET. I like the iconic computers of the time. I like some of those, I don't know if anyone really knows much about this stuff, but you know those terminals that they used to make? You know, they weren't actually a computer, they were just a terminal. But they were all sort of rounded. They were all in one unit, and they're all rounded. Ouch. And they just look so iconic. I would get one of those if one was available. And of course you can still use them too, because I think they just use serial. So if you've got a computer with a serial port that you want to access via a terminal, okie dokie, there's one more. There it is. Ouchie. This board is hot. Hot. USB to RS-232. 60s terminals. Dumb terminals. That's a terrible thing to say. Can't call them that. Really enjoyed the emulator how-tos. Thank you very much, 64-bit guys. So I've got a video that's coming out soon, which is more of a 3D video than anything, but it's a bit of a fun. It's a sort of a custom build thing that I've got coming out soon. I've got so many ideas for videos and so little time to do them. I should be doing them today. I was meant to work on them yesterday, but I had some other tasks come up with, so I've got to try and find some time today to do that. Now this We've got some resistors here. 19 of them. 1 kilo ohm. 19. That's a lot. Oh, shivers. There's still a component here. What missed out? I mean, I either... Oh, there it is. Got it. Phew. Scared the craps out of myself. C2, that was... Yeah. That's... You just saw my special checking process. Like, oh, crap, I forgot one. There we go. Canva acquired Affinity Photo with fears that Affinity could end up a subscription service like Adobe. What, they just acquired one of the three? That's just stupid. Fucking hate Canva. These are little tiny components, so it's going to be fun not losing them. And I need 19. 19. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. $11, $12, $13, $14, $16, $17, $18. Right, now, I'll leave this out because I'm bound to lose one or two. So I can grab one when I lose one. There we go. Got them all together in a pile. There we go. Canva acquired Serif, which produced the Affinity Suite. Okay. So they got all the apps, not just photo. That sucks. That really sucks. Watching this live from a PC I found at the dump, as you do. Can I just say something? What? Why don't I have a component on here? Okay. Well, I clearly miscounted somewhere, because this is meant to have one of these on it. Don't worry, guys. It'll work, guys. Come on, guys. Everything's fine, guys. So anyhow, I was just going to say, subscription software. I had this software that I used to use a long time ago, and it was subscription based. But here's the thing. When you paid for the subscription, what you got were updates. At any point, if your subscription lapsed, you could keep using the current version that you had for infinity. You just couldn't update it. If you wanted to update, you had to then go and pay the subscription to get the latest version of the software. What I really don't like about the Adobe subscription model is if you stop paying, your suite stops working. Just stops. And that I'm really not a fan of. Well, one thing I really should say about Affinity, if people aren't aware of this already, they have a 180-day free trial. All right? So if you're someone that's considering trying it out, 180 days, it's half a bloody year. You can use it without paying for it. I think that's a fair level of confidence from these people that people are going to end up buying it. You know what? Even if I don't end up using Affinity, I'm going to buy it because I'm going to support them. Even if I'm now supporting Canva, which I really don't like doing. All right. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Well, there's a big row. Is it these ones? No, hang on. What size is it? It's 1K. No, so these are 110s. So, 10s. 11, 12. Okay, let's start from 11. There we go. A whole bunch of them here. Where's 11? There's your 11. Eric, hello there. Not surprisingly, we were talking about you before, because you are Mr. BlueSCSI. Oops. So anytime I find any issue with this board, I'll just complain to Eric. I usually have JLC PCB do all this for me. There's no fun in that, Eric. No fun at all. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 15, 16. That's good. And then 17, 18, 19. And, of course, we'll have all these ones here. It's 19, 42. 42. Yep. Okay, let's do all these. Oh, what about R25? Yes, 25 as well. Okay. 19. 25. 28, 29. There's 29. There's 28. Bingo. Hey, blob. Stop blobbing. Stop blobbing. Oh, now I've made a big mess. Yeah, we'll just blame Steve. He's not here. 28, 29, 42. We did 42. 61, 65. No. Have to find all these little bits. Looking for 65. It's got to be up here. Oh, there it is. 65. And then 66, 67, 68, 69. Okay. 66. 68. 67, 66. These ones are a little easier to find. Maybe it just gets easier the fewer components there are. There we go. Affinity also has a message board. Cool. There is one thing that Affinity does, not Designer. Is it Designer? Affinity. I think it's Designer, which is the Illustrator copy. One thing it doesn't have, which I would like, is what do you call it? Those gradients that you can sort of put gradient anywhere you want. But I think it'll come. I have confidence that Affinity is going to improve. The big problem I have I mean, Adobe Suite is a business expense for me. So it's a tax deduction and all that. And so I kind of, to some extent, well, it's, because it's a business expense, business costs money, I'm fine with that. The problem I have with the Adobe Suite is that they have become very, very slow and bloated. That is the big issue. When I go to do something pretty straightforward, pretty basic, and it's slow and unresponsive on a fast computer, I get very annoyed, particularly when I'm doing stuff that shouldn't be slow and unresponsive. I'm doing pretty basic things. If I was working with massively high-res images or something like that, or putting loads and loads of effects on things, it might be a different story. But when I'm actually doing pretty straightforward basic stuff and the computer is crawling, I get very, very frustrated. Have I used DaVinci? If so, any thoughts I may get the free version? So, Saul, I have never used DaVinci, and I'll explain why in a second, but I have heard really good things about it. And I can tell you that if it weren't for the fact that I am already wed to another piece of software, DaVinci is what I would be using. I would go through the learning curve and learn it. Also because DaVinci is, I believe, an Australian company, but, I have been using Final Cut Pro for a long time, a very long time. And so for that reason, I've kind of just continued using it. I really like the way Final Cut Pro 10 works. There are a lot of people that didn't. When they released the Final Cut Pro 10 first release, it was a very different way of working on the timeline. And there was a learning curve associated with it, but I actually have come to really like the way it functions. And so I very much am a Final Cut Pro user. Now, it's not all sunshine and roses. Apple are very, very good at releasing Final Cut Pro updates with bugs in them. So my suggestion is, if you are a Final Cut Pro user, don't upgrade until the first revision. If they have a major upgrade, wait until the minor upgrade after it. Stupid question here. Do resistor arrays always have a common pin? Are there any where each resistor is a separate device? Well, you are asking the wrong person, because I am not a smart person, but I'm sure someone in this chat will be able to answer that. Because we've got smart people here. Never warmed to Final Cut Pro X. I still use 7 on my older machines. So here's an interesting thing, Sam. So because I was also a 7 user, I've actually got the full box of, was it 5? I can't remember. There was a version that came in 2 boxes with all the manuals. It's massive. But what I just wanted to say is I did quite a lot of editing at my last full-time job. We did a bit of video work, and I used to edit with that. And when I started my own business, I ended up not doing much in the way of video. A little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. And I didn't do editing for ages and ages and ages and ages. I ended up, just huge gap of time where I didn't do any editing. I probably started doing video editing around about 2001. I think it was about 2001, 2002. That was when I started getting into video editing. Started off with iMovie and then moved to Final Cut Pro. And because I had a really big gap, when I went to get back into editing, I wanted to get back into editing for my YouTubing. Because I'd had such a long gap between the doing the work, I was kind of able to, you know, I was learning. Oh crap! Told you I'd lose one. I was learning stuff. You know, because I was having to do a refresher anyway, I was doing a refresher, but with Final Cut Pro 10. So that made it, I think, a lot easier to learn some of the slightly different concepts they have in Final Cut Pro 10. But what I will say is there is, if anyone is wanting to learn Final Cut Pro 10, there is a guy, what's the channel called? A YouTube channel, America something or other. I'll see if I can find it. I'll maybe put it in the description later on. And I learned how to get back into Final Cut 10 from this guy. And he's just got a, I don't know, about an hour-long video tutorial. And it was so good. And then I actually went and trained someone else how to use it. I got paid by one of my clients to come out and teach their video guy how to use Final Cut Pro 10. Ice cream in the fridge. Yum. Ice cream. I'm actually really hungry. I didn't have any breakfast today. Oh, R66. Gotta be careful how you say that. Righty. So I managed to lose 2 components by the look of it, or I didn't count properly. Let's just check and see if we've got them all there. So we should have 19. So I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yay! Corel Video Studio. Well, now I don't know much about Corel other than the fact that we used to make big jokes about Corel back in the olden days. Corel had software called Corel Draw. I used to call it Coral Draw. And it was sort of in competition with the software that we were using, but it was PC based. And it was crap. It was such crap. It was terrible software. And we could always tell when someone had built something with Corel. Okay, this is 4.7 kilo ohms, 6 of these. These are a bit bigger, so these will be harder to lose. Okay. Oh, hang on. I've forgotten how to count to 6. That's 4. There we go. That looks a lot more like 6. 22, 23, 24, 26. Twenty-two, 23. 24, 26. And 41, 56. 41, 56. 41. Isn't this fun? Don't answer that. I love Scott Cello there. Sure, I used it as it was it was easy for a newbie. It was. There were lots of tools on there where you could just kind of get things happening very easily. But it used to do this 3D text effect, which we used to see all the time. You just see it and you go, Coral Draw. We're talking a long time ago. It might be great now. Hey. What's with R11? I missed... Oh, no. God, I didn't think there was a component there, but there is. It's just my eyes. $60 no subscription. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Freezer burned ice cream. All right, let's continue with these components. Just stopping to check on the chat every now and again, make sure there's nothing of significant importance. If anyone has any questions about anything, always feel free to ask those questions. I can't guarantee I'll ask them. For instance, your question might be, how come you sent someone that can't dance to compete in the Olympics? That might be a question you'd ask. Nope, I would not ask that. Tonight is the Australian version of the Emmys on TV. They're called the Logies. And if you're wondering why are they called the Logies, they're named after, was it John Logie Baird, who was the inventor of the television. So the name does actually have, the name does not make sense. It's not just a weird word that we made up. And what's quite funny about it is the way people who are, I don't know, nominated or part of it get really excited about it, when at the end of the day I consider it pretty pathetic. Who invented the resistor? No idea. Someone who couldn't resist. Oh, by the way, here's one I built before. Right, so that's it for this. Now we have 18 of these 110s. These are the ones that there aren't a lot of labels on the board, but I do know where they go. 18 of them. Need 18 of them. Okay, how many got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 10 here, so there's one there, so that will be 11. Let me in, son of a gun. That's 11. And so we need another 7. There's 2. Oh. So then another 5. I will probably lose some of these, but that's okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that should be all of those ones we need, as long as I don't lose them. So this is R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7, R8, R9, 10, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. It's actually really easy to find where these ones go. It's these ones. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. Otis Frank Boykin, there you go. The resistor. There we go. Let's start getting some resistors plonked into position here. I don't have a particularly good grip on this one. Oh, poop. Told you I didn't have a good grip on it. I'm grabbing all the ones that are up the right way at the moment, and then I'll deal with the ones that are face down. Cooking sausages for dinner tonight. Looking forward to that. Basic stuff, but I love sausages. And some homemade wedges. Going to fry up some homemade wedges. And having some homemade potato salad with that. And you might be thinking, wedges and potato salad? Come on, that's enough potato, isn't it? Never enough potato. There we go, nice, neat. Sorry about the commercial, Tommy Thomas. It's sort of a necessary evil, I guess. At the end of the day. One way you can get around that, of course, is to go with a YouTube Premium subscription. Now, is Dana still here? Dana, are you still here? If Dana is still here, I'm just letting you know I'm making sure I put a few of these resistors on upside down just to mess with your OCD. It might seem insensitive of me to joke about OCD, but I did actually grow up with OCD, so I don't know if that actually gives me the right to joke about OCD, but... Looks like I'm going to be one resistor short, so I'll probably have to grab another one. We're putting resistors on us. What we're going to do today, we're going to be putting these resistors on upside down Dana loves it when I say we, when I'm doing stuff by myself on YouTube videos. It's bloody hard. You know why it's difficult? You know why you end up doing it? Because so many other people do it. When you watch other YouTubers and they're all going, oh, okay, we're going to be looking at this today, and you go, and you find yourself doing it. I'm so easily influenced. Oh. So, yep, I'm one resistor down. Now, it's either here, or I never got it out in the first place, or lost it, or whatever. Whatever. Doesn't matter, I'll just grab another one. They're very inexpensive. Once I get the old flux onto this and just hit it with hot air, you see all these little joints all end up looking all beautiful, and the components just get pulled into place. Surface tension just pulls them into place, and then they're all neat and tidy like that. Isn't it lovely? It's lovely. It's lovely. I managed to get 1, 2, 3 up around the wrong way. All the electrons will fall out. I know who says that. That's, what's his name? The Aussie bloke. EEV blog. He says that all the time. David Jones. You gotta tip it upside down, all the electrons will fall out. I don't regret getting YouTube Premium one bit. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, I would get YouTube Premium, except for the fact that I do like to see the sorts of things that are getting advertised on YouTube. Just as a YouTuber, I'm always interested to see the sorts of ads that are appearing. So, for instance, recently I was seeing lots and lots of scam ads. Basically a scam. Supposedly this thing that you buy, which allows you to get free subscription TV and stuff like that. It's just nonsense. It is basically a scam. And I just like to see when those things come up. 2021, they're down here. There we go, 2021. Oh, why did I spin it around that way? What an idiot. When you end up with one of these components sticking up, if it's soldered on one side and sticking in the air, that's called a tombstone. And you don't want that. It's a pain when it happens. Keep getting ads for solar panels. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's good that people want to advertise on the channel. I guess that's nice. It's like, yes, this is content we want to advertise on. Because that's the thing on YouTube, as to whether people want to... you can have a channel with huge amounts of viewers and stuff, but if advertisers don't want to advertise on it, for maybe the content is slightly offensive, or maybe it has just a very, very narrow range of appeal or something like that, you can end up really not getting much from the advertising. All right, we're getting towards the end of the birdseed here, folks, so that's good. We've got an R30. We've got only one of these. I'm not going to put this away yet because it's a tiny one, so I might lose it. Just going to hunt down an R30 here. R30. Where's R30? Someone tell me where R30 is. It's a really little one. I know it's here somewhere. And probably people can see it right now. Oh, there's R30. I see it. It definitely does get easier as you get all the components on. If you get a YouTube subscription, you don't own it. Oh, dear. Oh, crap, where'd I put it? There it is. Back. Banana cleaner? What the hell is a banana cleaner? Since companies want to force people to buy newer computer stuff, what do people think about companies sending cease and desist letters to eBay for allowing the sale of older software? Never heard of that. Software is a funny thing, because the thing is that even when you buy software, when you read the terms, the licensing, you never effectively own it. You're sort of you've purchased a license to use it. That's sort of all written in the licensing and stuff like that. And some of them do actually put in their licensing that you can't on-sell it. You as a user of it do not have the right to on-sell this product. Whether it's right or wrong is, you see, there is a really interesting thing with software, and that is that software is a let's imagine I come up with an amazing piece of software. It's a new thing and everyone wants it. So everyone buys it and I become very wealthy. But now, if I look at it from a business model perspective, once everyone has it, they don't need to buy it again. So the limit on the income that I make is going to be essentially, once the market is saturated, I'm not going to make any more money from it. And that's where, of course, upgrades come in. And that's basically what software companies have done to continue making money. They make upgrades. Like, the software is now better, and so you're going to pay to get a new version which has all the new stuff in it. But the problem is with that you then are on this vicious cycle to continue trying to add things to your software that are good enough to make someone want to pay for the upgrade. And I, you don't really need to put these resistors on unless you're planning to connect an LED, by the way. But I'm going to do them because I am. Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why software companies have ended up moving to a subscription-based model, because they have been actually having a bit of a hard time with the upgrade style model. Oh, fudgeroony. Where'd it go? Because the truth of the matter is, well, if it wasn't for the fact that it doesn't run on my Apple Silicon, I'd probably still be using the Adobe Suite CS4. A lot of the features that Adobe keep adding to their product I don't even use, I don't need. I would be happy to stay with an older version. I end up having to upgrade because I've now moved to Apple Silicon and the old versions don't work anymore. whether it be going from 32-bit to 64-bit or whatever the case may be, forced into upgrading the software, when I would actually be quite happy just using an old version. There we go. All right, I think this is the last of the resistors. And once again, these are little resistors that you put here if you're connecting an LED light. And depending on what sort of LED light you use, you might want to put these resistors there so that they look, that you're getting the right amount of brightness from them, because not all LEDs are the same. And in particular, if you are using one of these on a vintage Mac where you're using the original LED, you know, you may need to set a different resistance for that. So you just put a blob of solder on either this JP1 or JP2 to indicate the resistance you're using. You do one or the other, you don't do both. If you do both, I think it causes problems. Apple wants to charge the YouTube channel 30% if Patreon members use iPhone to subscribe to a channel. What is Grease Weasel? I love Scotch. Garrett, I cannot actually answer that question because I have only ever bought this. I've never gone in and got the... I've never gone in and got the one with the bird seat, well, the surface mount stuff already soldered. And of course, if I was to do that, I'd also be telling you in Australian dollars, which is because most of the people that are watching would be looking at this stuff in probably US dollars. But after 20 years of using Photoshop, I jumped ship because of the subscription. Tev Rudin, could you please tell me what you are using now? Because that's something that I would actually like to talk about. Polyfuse. We've got two polyfuses, F2 and F3. Hey, Zua. Australian pesos. Isn't it dollary dues? Isn't that from the Simpsons episode? We use dollary dues here. Reason to hold on to legacy hardware so you can run legacy software. I have a plan for a video. I don't know if it'll come to fruition, but I actually want to do a comparison of running Photoshop CS4 on a G5 PowerPC compared to running Photoshop, or whatever, Photoshop Illustrator, one of the suite, on Apple Silicon, and just test how responsive they are. Put them through different little tasks and stuff like that. F2. Off to bed to create new nightmares. Oh, that's not very nice. Really? Thank you for joining. Combo of Pixelmator for photo manipulation and Clip Studio Pay for actual drawing, since it has PC and Mac versions. Now, the reason why I asked that, because first of all, earlier on we were talking about Affinity Photo, which I have yet to use, but I have had a few people say that it's quite good. It's a paid application, but I've heard that it's quite good. There is another application. It's a Mac version. I don't know if there's a PC version as well, but There's a Mac version. It's a software that I use called Acorn, photo editing software. And the main reason why I like Acorn is it feels very Photoshoppy. So when you're using it, you really don't feel like it's a massive change or learning curve or anything like that. Yeah. Okay, we've got a voltage regulator now in one of these little SOT23 package. Is that it? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember the names of all the packages. I've got a limited brain capacity. Going to get a little bit of flux on here. Then I'm going to solder the big fat part first. I'm watching the latest series of The Boys at the moment. And I don't know if anyone else is a The Boys watcher. But I got to tell you, that is one gruesome show. The blood and gore and violence is quite unparalleled. Not sure I'm enjoying this series as much as I did the earlier ones, but we'll see. Like Season 4 better than Season 3. Cool. So I'm about halfway through 4 at the moment. Maybe a little bit before that. We just watched Season 3 because we started watching Season 4, and my wife in particular, she was like, I can't remember any of this. So we went back and we watched Season 3. And I think that definitely helped. I love the satire. I mean, it is an incredibly satirical show. And I love that. I really do. One there. And then I need 3 more. Now this is a thing... Oh, I'll just grab that. That's all 4. This is a thing that I'm about to put on called a transceiver. Oh, hang on. Yeah, 4 of them. I need 4 of these transceivers. And they go into U4, 5, 6, and 9. So we've got 6, 5, 4, 9. Now the way the screen printing on this works, you've got a little line here indicating what is pin 1. So that will be that way around, not that way around. Spin around, there we go. That way around. Pin 1. It's where the little dot is there. Oh, you can't see it. The little dot is here. I think a little dot. The dot's going at pin 1. This based on RP 2040, it sure is. Hello, Quicksilver Oz. Would it typically have a large ground plane under it for better thermal dissipation? I'm not sure. See, I don't even know how much this would generate. I'm not even sure which one it's regulating. But so yeah, I don't know. We need Eric. Where's Eric? Eric. Eric's probably left. Eric's probably sick to death of watching BlueSCSIs getting built. One of my chickens is making a hell of a racket at the moment. Doing a little bit of drag soldering here. It's one of my favourite pastimes. I've got a bridge there. I can see that I have a bridge there, so don't panic. Off. come on, don't make me get the solder wick out. Thank you. There we go. Got that one on. Let's do another. The build is actually pretty quick from here on in. The slowest part's really done. Sticking all those little resistors and stuff on, that's a real pain. Because it's mainly because they're hard to find. You know, and I guess if you were doing these constantly, you'd get a better idea of where they all go, like I did with SCSI 2SDs. So I used to build SCSI 2SDs, and I got pretty good at remembering where all those little components were. But I'm still learning with this. I really should have done this before. This will, of course, need to be washed in the ultrasonic cleaner afterwards because I am absolutely smothering it in flux. And not just any flux, but Steriflux. Links in the description. Discount code included. Steri. Steri. I had to actually remove one of my flux videos a little while ago because someone was unhappy about it. I'm not going to talk about who it was because I don't want them to get any free advertising. Yes, Thomas, you probably do know. Don't have a steady hand anymore. That's no good. I have to admit, that is something that always worries me when I'm doing something like this is, you know, sort of the dexterity going. Because I love doing this sort of stuff, and I'd be really frustrated if I wasn't able to do it anymore. I mean, my eyesight is going to crap, but thankfully I have a microscope. Just to anyone out there who's under 40, just be aware that your eyesight goes to crap in your 40s. It's unavoidable. There's nothing you can do about it other than get glasses. Over 60 is worse. Yes, I've heard it happens again at 60. You kind of go through these two stages. There's one around 40, and then it sort of stabilises a bit, and then there's another one around 60. And I am not looking forward to that one. Still got a bit to go to there, but not that long. Assuming, of course, I make it. Can't take anything for granted, can you? God, my best friend died. He was like 46. Handyman, that would be fun. Ah, fireworks. Yeah, so you get fireworks every now and again here. Fireworks are illegal here to possess and to use, unless you have a pyrotechnician's license. Or pyrotechnics license, whatever it's called. But yes, but you can buy them in Canberra, I believe. And Canberra is about a 3-hour drive from where I am. So people do often go down there, buy fireworks, and then bring them back here. Fireworks got banned here after sort of a number of injuries, and one such injury happened to a guy I went to school with. I think he was holding a firework or something like that. He was young, primary school age, whatever that is. That's what are Americans call that. Is that middle school? And he was holding a firecracker and it went off and burned his neck and he needed skin grafts and all sorts of stuff. And they got banned very soon after that. We didn't used to do it on the American Day, of course. We used to do our firecracker night was... Oh, God, I can't remember what our firecracker night was. We used to call it Cracker Night. And it used to be a bit of a family thing. We'd all get together and let off fireworks in the backyard. Lots of fun. That's a long time ago now. I was a wee one. Right. It's those ones. My 1.5 times. Yeah, see, I think I'm about... Well, because I wear multifocals, and I think I'm about 1.5 to 2... No, I'm probably 1.5 down the bottom, so I can read my watch. Makes such a difference. Tells ya. Okay, we've got a few more here. We need 4 of these, and I have 4 in this packet, so everything is good. There we go. And that's these ones. This is 13, 14, 15, and 16. Crap, I've been going for 2 hours. I better hurry up and finish this. My microphone will run out, and I didn't bring a spare down with me. I didn't think this would take me this long. It's because I've been talking. Rabbiting on. Like a rabbit. Justin D. Morgan, hello there. How are you today? Welcome to the live stream, where I build things today. Just felt like building a BlueSCSI would be something different. Upside down. Upside down, Miss Jane. Mr. Squiggle, the man from the moon. Building ASMR. Imagine most of the noise is coming from my mouth, which can't be good. Tried and failed to repair a 386-486 VLB motherboard earlier today. Well. Is that the one you were working on the other day? Battery damage 386 or whatever? Or is that another one? You know I can't have too much sympathy for you working on a 386. Oh my God, what has got these chickens all riled up? Let's have a look, see if we can see them. Chook cam. Where's the noisy one? There he is. Oh, okay. He's down under the bushes, so my guess is there's been a predator around. Either a cat or an eagle or, a hawk, something like that. These guys aren't really in any danger from those sorts of predators, but they don't know that. And I think ultimately what they're doing is they're calling and saying to me, "Oi, come out here. You're the rooster. You're the one supposed to be protecting us. Come out here." But I know that they're not in any danger, so... But if I wasn't doing this, I would go down and try and calm them a bit. A different board the other day. Okay, fair enough. So you're a glutton for punishment. Yay. I just realised the other day that I haven't bought a spare soldering iron tip. I always keep a spare of these because I sometimes break them. And I broke one relatively recently, and I'm now using this one, and I haven't replaced it. So I will need to do something about that because I don't want to be stuck without a soldering iron tip. Don't want to be tipless. Ain't nobody got time for that. There we go. Look at those. They're all in place. It's funny how they did Mr. Squiggle. There was a giant pole at the back of his head. Yeah, well, at the top of his head. Yeah, I think it was the top of his head, wasn't it? Was it at the top of his head, or was it at the back, was it? Okay. Because his hat used to go off camera. It's upside down, Miss Jane. Inverter. Going to invert things with this inverter. To there, that way. Look at this, I've already got solder on here from my overzealous soldering of other components. Hurry up, hurry up. That was the blackboard that did that, wasn't it? Hurry up. I'll just clean that solder off. It's going to be so much easier if it's just not there. Thank you. Oh, God, I'm just making an absolute meal of this. I'm just going to use a hot air. Just to get the position right anyway. I should have just taken the solder off in the first place, because then I ended up with solder on the bottom of the chip, so I couldn't get it flush. And it's got to be right. It's got to be right. Finish your defensive driving course. Dear, anyone doesn't know what the joke of that is, Steve from the Mac 84 YouTube channel, when we used to do, or was it on, maybe it was Mac Yak. It might have been Mac Yak. I can't remember if it was Steve's channel or Mac Yak. But we used to have this person that used to jump on and just type the most nonsensical rubbish, gibberish, like poopy diaper, defensive driving, and stuff like that. And yeah, and it was really bizarre, and we were like, "What's going on with this? Is it a child or something?" And then the same person would come on later on and just talk normally, and we'd be like, "Has your account been hacked or something because of the stuff you were typing?" And they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they do it again later on. So we don't know if maybe they had a kid that was jumping onto the chat. Maybe it was a parent, and then they go away and the kid would jump on and type all this nonsense, or whether it was someone who is just a bit of an idiot. Big mama poopy diaper finish at offensive driving course. It was basically stuff like that. Gregory Brady, hello and welcome. Did they do anything in Sydney for the 1988 bicentennial? That's a very good question. In 1988, 88. Good year that. Push It, Salt and Pepper came out in 88. So did Locomotion by Kylie Minogue. Probably. I remember at that sort of time, I was, that was when I was in high school. That was my last year of high school, 1988. And I was, I mean, I'm sure something happened, but I can't remember. Tall ships. Yeah, I'm sure there were things going on. I can't remember. God. That during that time of my life. I mean, I know it rings a bell, but I just can't remember what went on. So something went on. I just can't remember what. All right, we've got a few diodes here. Microdiodular servo systems. Hello, chicken. Thought I could hear a chicken walking in here. Hello. Do you want to say hello to the people? Not really. No. No, don't want to say? Nope. Yes? No. Nope. Don't think so. Here's a diode here. Diodes, of course, very important to put them on the right way round. The way this is set up, see this screen printing is like a U-shape sort of thing here. And the line here indicates that that's where we put this. Oh, crap, what is it, the anode? I can't remember. I left school when I was 16, what do I know? Expo 88, I remember that. Was that in Brisbane? I haven't got enough solder on my tip. That's better. Foreshore of Brisbane. Stage flight. Everybody's doing a brand new dance now. Incidentally, I should mention very quickly here with BlueSCSI, this is a very important thing. If you are someone who's thinking about building your own BlueSCSI, it is against the terms of the agreement if you decide to build one and sell it. So I'm just letting you know that. I mean, I used to be a BlueSCSI reseller. I had to stop doing it because unfortunately I did not have enough time. And if I'm going to be perfectly honest, BlueSCSI became a little bit complicated to resell. And with that, I would, every time I sold one, I would give some money to Eric. And there are people who have basically just gone in and got the boards made themselves and then they've assembled them and they've started selling them on eBay. That's a no-no. If you do that, you will be asked to take the ad down. because that is against the terms of the licensing of the product. Okay, LED activity. That is that one. So I'm going to look at this one, and we need to have... God, this is dirty, isn't it? Crap. Okay, so the little liney bit at the top. Liney bit at the top. I always forget which way around the diodes go. And so I look at ones that I've built before. Simple as that. So it's that way around. There we go. Got to be soldering nice and quick with the LEDs, because otherwise they melt. And we don't want that. And LED power. Power! I think I'll wash this other one when I wash this one. This other one that I've built has ended up getting very, very dirty. Okay, let's do the same for this one. Gonna see which way around it goes. We've got a little green dot down there on the bottom. Oh, green dot down there on the bottom. There you go. Okay, there are LEDs. You have to use LED solder to solder LEDs. Okay, P-channel MOSFET, Q1 and Q2. P-channel MOSFETs. Okay, so there's one up here. There we go. Do-do. Bing. That's a good little MOSFET. And then Q2. Emergency vehicles. They're after me. There we go. Looking good. We're getting bloody close now. I can smell burning. Maybe someone's having a barbecue or something. Or it could be some twat burning off. Which is illegal here, by the way. If you sort of start burning leaves or something in your backyard, it is actually against the law. Alright, this is one of my favourite things to do. Soldering on a USB-C plug. Why is it one of my favourite things to do? I don't know. They just look cool. They're really easy to solder too, because they've got little holes here and they just hold in place. I like it. Plonk. Look at that. Just in position. It's done for me. Whoopsie. Let's make sure we get this straight. There we go. That's straight. Now I'm just going to solder some of these pins down here. And then we'll solder these anchors so that's nice and sturdy. Now the main thing you have to make sure when you're soldering these, you don't end up getting any solder inside the connector. That will make your life very miserable. You want this to be nice and sturdy. There we go. This is one of the ways I test to see whether I've done it right in the first place. Is when I very first tested, I then plug into the USB-C socket. If it hasn't been soldered properly, you won't get any lights. If you get lights, and you know you've done it right. You've done it right. Okay, then we've got SD slot. Now, I'm not even going to bother sticking the big one on, because I don't use the big one. I only use the little one. If, at a later date, I decide, you know what, I want to use the big SD card slot, I'll stick one on. But I'm not going to do that now. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm probably going to do the pins first, and then I'll do the anchor later on. I just think it'll be easier that way. Get all the pins lined up. Boom. Boom. There we go. And then we can get some solder onto these little anchors underneath. If I can get my little iron in there. Come on. Come on. Come on. We can do it. There we go. I think that's solid. I think we're good. I think we're good. I think he's on there. Ow. Hello. You feel safe in here, do you? Coming a little bit, it's a little bit closer, but I think if I reach over, she'll just run away. Oh, I haven't done a smash that like button in ages.
Smash that like button.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Donna. And we've got a little switch that we need to solder on here. There's this little quick thing here as well. I'm supposed to stick that on. I should probably stick that on. I haven't been bothered to stick it on because I'm like, I don't need that. But apparently there's really cool stuff being developed where you can add a screen to it and things like that. Smashed it twice. That's no good. You have to smash it an odd number. Okay, we've got our little switcheroony here. And then I'll stick one of these little connectors on. This quick. We're getting very, very close here. It's exciting, isn't it? Is anyone else getting excited? I'm excited. It's that same level of excitement you feel if you're counting from 10,000 down to 1. It's the feeling you get when you get to around about 90. You know what I'm talking about. I don't even know where's the metal here. What am I soldering to? Oh, I see. Easy. Okay, so I've got my quick thing attached. The next thing I've got to stick one of these big bulky connectors in place. God, I think someone is actually burning leaves off. Pollution all around, sometimes up and sometimes down, but always around. Pollution, are you coming to my town, or am I coming to yours? All right, yeah, we got a little bit of soldering to do here. Sorry about this, it's just the boring stuff, this. Boring. Get hyped. Thank you, Dana, I appreciate it. I never quite know if you're quoting a historical reference or just making stuff up. Well, if you are referring to the little poem that I just told about pollution, that is actually from an American sitcom, sorry, English sitcom from the 1980s called The Young Ones, starring Adrian Edmondson, Rick Mayall, Nigel Planer, and the other one. What was his name? Christopher someone. And it's from an episode of The Young Ones called Bomb. B-O-M-B. The Young Ones did rock. All right. Now, all that remains here is for me to stick a few little jumpers on here so that I can then put shunts onto them. Shunt that jumper. When I'm using these, I generally put the... I use yellow ones of these, the ones that used to come with the blue pills, because I think they look nice. They look nice on the blue background. These ones here. So we've got 3 over here for the termination. Just there. So they need to be soldered on. I'll probably change views for this because I won't be doing this with a microscope. Top view, top view, top view, top view. Top view. There we go. Oh, it's a bit blurry. So I'm holding the thing in position with my fingernail, and then I'll just get a little bit of solder here, so that I can hold it in position and then solder it without flux. There we go. And then I'll just solder the other 2. Then neaten up the first one. There we go. So that is that one there. Oh, crap, it's crooked. Son of a gun, that's exactly what I wanted to avoid. Okay, that's better. And then we have 3 here for this, the cloning thing. So this is an amazing feature of the BlueSCSI, that you can actually use these to just dump the content of a hard drive without even needing to attach it to a computer. Don't you reckon that's pretty amazing? I reckon it's pretty amazing. It'll just kind of image the drive. I think that's how it works. I've never tried it myself. Because to be honest, I mean, when I want to do something with a hard drive, I want to fire up an old computer. That's part of the fun of it for me. So I don't really utilise that. But it doesn't mean I don't think it's awesome. Hello. Chicken just made a little bit of noise. Just saying hello. Did it stick? Yep, it sticked. What do you reckon the chances are of this thing working? I mean, I've built several of these, and everyone has worked first go. But, as we all know, when you do stuff like this on a live stream, they choose not to work. Got one more jumper that I put at power on. Right here. Just making sure that I'm getting it straight, because doing that first one crooked, it's so embarrassing. Okay. Right, so now we need some shunts. Do I have any shunts left? Oh, I do. Good. I need 1, 2, 3 shunts. Focus. Shunt. That's a lovely word, shunt, isn't it? Don't you reckon? Okay, so we want termination on. Oopsie. I will actually take these off to ultrasonically clean it, but never mind. And then we have the initiator that just sits on target. We only need that if you switch the thing on, I think. And then you've got power on there, because we need power. If we don't have power, we don't have power. And then I need to find a USB-C connector that I can power it up and test to see if the lights come on. Oh, here's one. Is it connected? I don't even know if it's connected to anything. Is it connected to power? I suppose there's one way to find out, isn't there? I'll first test the one that I know works. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. So this is connected to power, but it's a little bit cumbersome. I wonder if I've got one of these a bit closer. I'm sure I have one of these that I used to recharge things. That's my microphone. If I disconnect that, you won't hear me anymore. That'll be bad. Right, so I'm going to have to move the camera because... Okay, so this is the one I just built, and we're testing to see if it's going to work. And it doesn't. I'll just check and make sure that this has got power. Yep, that has got power. So we're not getting anything on this at the moment. Oh well. Something's not soldered right. I guess what we do now is we test... Ouch! Test to see whether the other USB-C connector works. So I'm just going to do this very quickly. Okay, that's cool. That's that. Aha! Okay, so the problem is with the USB-C connector. So it's either the soldering that went on underneath this board that's not working, or it's something to do with my soldering of this USB-C connector. I'll check that later on. But this part is actually working, because you can see that we've got the power light there. So this is communicating with this board. It is just, the issue is just with this USB-C connector. So that in itself, that's relatively minor. I'm not too fussed about that. That's something I can resolve one way or t'other. I'll probably get the old multimeter out and do some little testy contacts from here to here to see if they're connecting, and then I'll look at sort of how I'm going to fix it. I could have bridges here, because I have to really should clean this thing too. Okay, the soldering on the USB-C looks pretty good, which would suggest it's a problem with that very first thing that I did. So the very first thing that I did when I first started was soldered together the very first thing I did was solder the little pads under here through onto the board, and my guess is that something has gone wrong with that, which would be the most logical thing, because that's the fiddliest part to do on this thing. I'm just going to push this down as I plug this in and see if it makes a difference. No. Yeah, okay. Well, that is relatively minor, so that's something. So it's 99% working. Just need to fix up that little USB-C connector. I could actually connect a an SD card in here, and we could see it not flashing, but I don't know that I have one down here. I think all my SD cards are upstairs. Maybe I should have brought one down with me. Never mind. It's built. That's the main thing. It's built. It's built. Okay. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. Is the Pico on backwards? No! It is definitely not on backwards. Night Joe. Yes, I think, so I am almost certain that it is just the little pins on the back of the Pico making contact with the pads on the underside of this. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about that. First I'll test to see if that is actually the problem. That's easy enough to do. And if that is the problem, then I don't know, I guess I'll probably have to take the Pico off, or maybe hit this with a bit more hot air, add a little bit more solder, something along those lines. It's a relatively minor thing. Testy Westy on the doobly-doo, definitely. Work calls, great stream. Thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up now, because I actually do have quite a lot of things that I want to get done today. So, I mean, it is built, it is mostly working, and that's all good. It's another one. Can never have too many of these things. Well, you probably could if you didn't have a big collection, but I've got a huge collection of computers, of vintage computers, so the more BlueSCSIs, the better. Thank you to everyone for sticking around. Jeez, I'm bright, aren't I? Why am I so bright? What's going on? What's all that about? Sorry, I was going to do something about this because it's bothering me. And apply. That's a little bit better. There we go. Okay. All right. Oh, thank you, I Love Scotch. Much appreciated. Okay, so thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for keeping me company while I did this. This is a relatively tedious job to do, so it's quite good having company while I do it, so I do appreciate that. Yes, lots of things coming up in the future, so please look out. Please like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching. Yeah, I will probably post about the status of this on one of my socials or something when I get it fully finished, when I get that little USB-C issue corrected, which won't be far away. Oh, sorry, Christ Flare. Yeah, it happens. Yep. I'm coming up for 3 hours. I have to stop around about now because this is where my microphone runs out of battery. So, thanks again, everyone. Hope to see you at the next one. Scrolls down to look for the end stream button. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.